Okay. Everybody, welcome back to the Horns Down podcast with your host, Chris Griffin, and my guy, Seth Oliveris. We're joined by one of my favorite guys today. The guy I like to call the voice of the Twitter spaces. We have Andrew Smith with us. Andrew, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys?
Hey,
Happy to be here.
we're happy to have you here. I told Seth was like, "Oh, you talking about Sooner Soup guy?" I was like, "Yeah, bro, yeah." The guy who said he shut down all the nonsense. He's like, "Hey, I'm tired of talking about Lincoln. Can we just move on? I'm done. Okay, like we've already discussed that." But anyways, Seth, man, no long time no see, man. It's crazy, bro. It's a lot of information, a lot of stuff out there right now. A lot of stuff has happened. It's been a while since we did a podcast, but we're back. How you feeling?
Yeah, we unlike Texas, we are back. So they like to talk about how they're back every year, but yeah, we're back. I'm back. You're back. We're doing. I mean, just the other day, I think I tweeted about it too, but just seeing all this OU football stuff on my feed, and I mean, obviously the practice videos for one being a completely new thing, since we haven't seen that since Bob Stoops was the actual head coach back in the day, and even probably years before he went into retirement, we never saw that under Lincoln Riley. Access with this media access that we get to practices, we actually get to see videos and stuff. But just seeing like quotes from players and coaches and all of that stuff, that just great stuff that just feeds the fandom. I mean, it feels like football season's here, but I know we got a long way to go. But I mean, this spring, it's a big spring, and I know we're going to get into this, but yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled with that side of things. But obviously, we've got a number of topics that we want to get into that have got me very excited.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and jump into it. You said a key word. You said spring. So there's a lot of excitement around this spring. We got the spring game that's right around the corner. Get your tickets, pack the palace. You heard Venables. You heard Coach. He said it. Let's do it. Let's get that done. Fellas, I'll just start this off, and we'll let Andrew go first. But basically, I don't. I think last year I was at the point of I was excited about who I was going to see. I think this year I'm excited about what I'm going to see.
Mhm.
Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
And
I do
and
totally.
I really feel like that's the feel around the program because everybody's starting at a clean slate. Although we may say, yeah, Woody's probably our top corner. I really don't know what Coach Villi and Venables are gonna, and Coach Roof. I don't know really what's gonna, what where they're gonna start. But Andrew, I'll let you go. What are you most excited about this time around the spring?
Goodness, it's honestly a hard question to answer because it's everything. Um, so it's seeing that there's a clear difference in culture. There's a clear difference in energy. There's a clear difference in coaching. Um, So specifically on the field, I think everybody wants to see defense, right? Like that's the thing that we've struggled with the most, and so we want to see pressure. We want to see corners hovering and not getting left out on an island. We want to see safeties with big hits. We want to see great linebacker play. I mean, we've had amazing linebacker play in the history of University of Oklahoma. We want to get back to that, and we have the linebackers on our roster to do that. We know that we have the talent. Now we've got great coaching staff that have proven to coach great linebackers to help them out. So I think the thing that most everybody's excited about is the defense. Now the question about the offense is how much drop off will there be, or how much elevation will there be? Honestly, because in some cases we can look at um, Jeff Levy's offense, who ranked higher than Lincoln Riley's offenses the last couple of years. So, and arguably, you can say that we have better talent than Levy's ever had before. So, granted, it's a new system, it's complicated. So, how quickly do they pick it up?
Yeah, I mean that's
Oh, granted, it's a new system. It's
Oops.
yeah. You took the word, yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth as far as the culture and all that, and like obviously defense. We've got Brent Venables in, so a lot of times they say that the team kind of takes on the identity of the head coach in more ways than one, and I think we saw that under Lincoln Riley. and I believe we're going to see that under Brent Venables. I'll just to add on to that, and you were kind of leading that way, anyways. Speaking of Levy's offense, I mean, obviously quarterback, it's going to be, we got Dylan Gabriel, who's expected starter for sure, and he's obviously familiar with a Levy offense, having been with him for a season at UCF, and then what he's done at UCF prior to the injury he had. The boy was lighting things up. I mean, he's a lefty, and no matter how many times I watch a lefty throw a football, it never looks right to me. But it seems like he finds the receivers, and he's got a big arm. It's live.
That's the word. That's the thing that gets me with left-handed quarterbacks. It never looks live. It is, but it always looks like they're kind of just like,
yeah, like there's just not enough.
It just doesn't look natural,
right? But I mean, yeah, the highlights are there. He's got doesn't, like, look at any game that he's played. He's putting up numbers. He's lighting it up. He's finding the open man. So I'm excited to see what he does with some of the receivers that, there's a lot of like really good receivers still here. Obviously Marvin Mims, Theo Weiss, Farouk, we saw flashes of him. There's a ton of talent that's either untapped or that we already have an idea of. And I'm excited to see what that looks like, especially against a defense that we expect to take us leaps forward in some ways, especially like linebacker area. Hopefully, corners, just for the fact that they're actually being coached by a guy who played corner himself. So that's a big upgrade. I feel like, at least at this point, I'm going to go on a limb and say that. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of potential, and even though we all know there's to expect at least some kinds of growing pains, but things like that. Definitely we'll see that during the season, but just in the spring right now, there's really, we can only go off of what, practice reports and stuff like that. And for now, it just looks like everyone's on the right track. I mean, it just looks like this is where this program needs to be right now.
I'll jump in here and I'll just say, man, I'm excited just to see some of the more technical things this time around. I just want to see kind of what are the principles? What are the principles of the offense? We already, kind of have a base expectation of what the principles are, but let's see how is he trying to put, how is he trying to involve Mims this year? Is Mims going to have a quiet year like last year, or is he going to, have a great year? You want to see some other guys too. You want to see, okay, can a Cody Jackson come out there? Can a Jalil Farouk, can those guys continue to show flashes and, get reps? Defensively, you just want to look at the defensive line. Obviously, you're not going to be able to walk away with that game like 100% knowing exactly what's going to happen. But you want to look and see where are they putting emphasis on the most as far as technique-wise with the DBs. As far as defensive line, are we going to be solid up the middle? Are we getting a push? Is this guy flashing on the defensive line? Are we seeing more than just Jalen Redmond be the man out there? Are we seeing some other guys that were like, hey, I think that once he gets his feet under him and once he kind of learns this system of what they're wanting to do, will this guy be able to take it to the next step? Because there's several guys on the defensive line that you're like, hey, Reggie Grimes, the kid from Tulane, the transfer from Hawaii. But then you're also looking at not only Jalen Redmond, but you're looking at, I'm thinking of Stripling. Yeah, Stripling. So you got guys like Stripling. You're saying, okay,
I thought Stripling left.
No, Stripling's still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. But no, you're looking at him. You're looking at guys like Clayton Smith, and you're saying, "Hey, it's time. We got some freaks out there." Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. Little just quick thing about Ethan Downs. I've seen him a couple times this semester because I guess he has a whatever class is in the classroom that I teach in. It's like right after that. The dude, whatever he's listed at, it's right because that's a big kid. Like I'm
237, I think, is what I saw.
Oh, big. I mean, he's tall. Like to me, he looks like he's at least 6'4", maybe six, close to 6'5".
6'4", I think 237 is what I saw.
Yeah. So he's I'm excited to
I
see.
could be wrong on that.
And that kind of just talking about size and stuff. We can't fail to mention the return of Smitty. Like that.
So we were on a space on the OU Rubens and News space the other night with Travis, and Parker Thune came in, and he was saying, because we were talking about, we asked him like, you were at the first practice that was open and whatnot. He said, "What's some of your takeaways?" And he said the Schmitty difference is real. He's like, those boys look big, and like obviously there's some kids that are struggling to put on weight and can do better, and some of that's just their bodies. Like they're still young in some cases. They just they literally can't eat enough.
Yeah.
But the guys who are, man, it's a big difference. I mean, like I heard Jonah Luau, I think from Hawaii, like they said he is like early on making a huge difference. Going to be a real force to be reckoned with on the outside. Man, how can you not be excited about Coach Chavis?
Oh.
Well, I'll just jump in there and say, I mean, and you got to also think about it. It's only been 8 weeks, so they're going to have more time with Smitty. Especially, you got to think we're talking about spring. We're excited about a spring. Let's be excited about summer ball. Let's be excited about all the summer reps guys are going to get and be able to go through. And then when we go into fall camp, we're going to see. I would say we're still not a finished product, but we're going to see something close this year, at least to what we're trying to set ourselves up to.
And not to mention, like kids like Andrew Rain was talking about working on a farm over the summer, in addition to working with Schmitty. So, like, there's a lot to be excited about, and it's like, I think I've been saying this for a little while. Like, when you ask about like what are you excited about, there's a legitimate argument for every single position group to make the biggest jump from last year over last year's position group. Every single one has the opportunity to make the largest jump from last year. Mm-hmm. How many teams can say that?
my only drawback, and maybe this is really premature to say, but when you start hearing about the names that are at corner and you're like, okay, are we still in that Buki mode? Because it seems like we still don't have the size that we want there, because they're talking about, I mean, the names that they name. I mean, we got one of the transfers there, and then we have Seth. I'm not even gonna go there. I'm
actually gonna disagree with you there a little bit, because you've got Kenai Walker, who's transferred. He's like 6 foot, 6'1", something like that, and they're saying he's making big time progress. He's gonna challenge for a starting spot. You obviously got Woody. DJ's over 6 foot, so. And like the other transfers are probably going to play nickel or safety. So I actually think we do have size there. We may not have the depth in size that we would like, but we're going to have significantly more size than we've had in the past. And if one of the shorter dudes beats out one of the taller dudes, obviously they're playing pretty well. So I'm not as concerned about that in the past as I am. Obviously, would like to see some more depth there, but still – I don't think that group is going to be as much of a liability as they have been in the past.
Right.
It's just the simple fact that, look, Andrew, I just don't have time, and I don't have the patience to sit there and watch bros get beat by tight ends from Iowa State every time. Now, that maybe I'm just being too critical, but I'm just, look, his experience is invaluable. I get that.
Sure, but you're also talking about Morrison probably going to come in and play nickel, and maybe some safety. And then you're also talking about Kanik maybe playing that kind of Isaiah Simmons like safety kind of linebacker role. So kind of depending on the formations and whatnot you got going on, I think and from what I'm hearing about the defense, they're going to mix up kind of the looks frequently. So it's going to go based off of what the offense is doing personnel wise. So yeah, I mean, and I totally agree on the trenches comment there from the chat, but we have the pieces on the roster to do what they need to do. It's just more of, are they picking up the offense or the defense that specifically the defense we're talking about? Like, are they picking it up quick enough? And are they going to execute in a game?
I mean, that's the biggest thing. I think what I'm most excited about is, I wouldn't say excited. I say I'm encouraged. I feel really encouraged about is that DB room, because it seems like, for what it's worth, Roy Manning came in and he at least had them show that they had a pulse out there, right? But now you're bringing in Valai, you got B Hall back there as well, and you just feel like, hey, there's more technique that's going to be taught, and there's going to be more principles that's going to be, hey, you got to do this if you want to see the field. But I feel like guys are going to get a fair shot because the problem that I had last year was just a simple fact of it's almost like you gave up on your freshman after the Kansas game, and it's like, you're the one who told them to play 15 yards off of the wide receivers and let them just run out routes the whole time to pick up first downs. And then you circle the wagon and you say, okay, Key Lawrence, Woody, and DJ Graham. Okay, that's great. That's two or three of our better DBs back there. But, I mean, it was just the fact that you were like, it's just sloppy out there. Go back to the TCU game. It was like, it felt like Eaton was always in the right place at the right time, but just couldn't make the right play, right? And it was like, do we need better coaching to get him to that level, or is it just the fact that he's not that guy? Well, I'm going to go off of the first instead of the latter part and just say that I think it was better coaching. So I feel encouraged with the DB room now simply because I know the talent level that we have back there. And there's still some more guys that there's a verdict still out on. I mean, I say his name all the time, Seth, Bryson Washington. I feel like that guy right there should have been playing, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's got his shot now, and we'll see in the spring, especially the spring game. We saw him in the spring game last year, kind of show a little bit of a flash, I guess, if you want to call it that. But at the same time, I'm just really encouraged by the things that I'm hearing from thus far in just 2 or 3 days of spring ball. So,
I mean, speaking of that TCU game, though, I mean, those receivers, those TCU receivers were coached by Malcolm Kelly, one of the better one-on-one receivers we've seen in the last 20 years at OU. Yeah. So I think he had them drinking a little Sooner Magic that night. So they're beating those OU DBs.
And they're probably going to improve because they're going to have a little kind of plug. So through Spaces, I've met one of the TCU receivers who was ineligible last year due to transfer, Michael Bird. Yeah. So really excited to see him play. Michael, get your little bow tie celebration in there. Can't wait to see it, bro.
Nice.
So
Weston's asking, do you know who will be the second string receivers? Darby, Cody Jackson, Gibson. I mean, at this point, I feel like I'm obviously going to trust whoever they end up choosing. We probably won't get an idea of the depth chart until obviously the fall, but that sounds about right because, I mean, obviously it's not going to be like Mims, Weiss, as long as he stays healthy, he's not going to be a second string. Drake Stoops is going to get –
and say, don't leave out Drake Stoops.
Yeah. If he's not a technical starter, he's going to get starter reps. Like
I've gotten blocked on Twitter from defending Drake Stoops before. So
Chris and I we've gone we talked to Texas guys on these this forum a number of times, and I think Chris, you actually made the comparison between Jordan Whittington,
and Drake Stoops,
and they took such offense to that, but it was actually a compliment.
I mean, I got blocked because they kept trying to say that he only was on the team because of who his dad was, and it's like he got a scholarship. Like he walked on, he earned a scholarship. What do you want from the kid? Like he's made. Are you just mad because he's made big plays in the Red River game? Like
that's what I'm saying. I
mean, if you big mad, that's all right. Just admit
it. We're gonna get to the Texas talk, all right? So, but we got a really, 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 really. Let me say it one more time. Really, 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 really important topic to discuss, guys. And this is culture related. All right. This is OU culture. Nobody's asked this question. So I'll start it off by saying this. I was driving back the other day, back home, and I was talking to my aunt. Shout out to my aunt. And I said, Unc, all these reports about what was going on when Lincoln was here, and the fact that now you have Coach BV coming out and saying, hey, players are coming and thanking me for adding accountability, adding structure, adding all of this, that, and this to this program. They're thanking me. So the question I asked my uncle, I said, hey, do you think that Lincoln Riley had a toxic culture here at OU? And his answer was yes. And I said, how can you say that when we won the way we did? He said, because we progressively got worse. And it wasn't like we were winning games by 30 or 40. A lot of those games were nail biters. Look at the defense. The defense never really progressed. We had players, we had flashes, but the defense never got to the level where we thought it should have been. So I take that, and I'll let you guys, whoever wants to go first and jump on that, I'll just say, with all the things that you've heard behind the scenes, everything that has come out, and then just the fact that you have Coach V just saying, oh, well, players are thanking me now. I mean, it kind of begs the question, was there a toxic culture here?
Yeah, well, I'll go first because I won't go long. I'll let Andrew, I know he's got something to say about this. But as far as you were talking about how games were not, OU wasn't blowing anybody out, and then progressively worse, year after year with Lincoln at the helm. I think what we saw was that Lincoln never put a premium on defense, and the only time he did, he was involved in something to really better the defense was when he was forced to, which was after the Red River game in 2018. We all know Mike Stoops. That was when they finally let go. But that, you ask any OU fan, that was a year and a half too late. Like, that defensive coaching move should have been made the day after Bob Stoops said he was done, and handed the reins to Lincoln. But Lincoln, he's just totally concerned about the offense, which, I mean, I can't blame him. He's an offensive coordinator, and at the time for sure, and even now he's one of the highest regarded offensive minds out there. So defense, like, for him, it was just never a focus for his. And so when he was put, up to task to make that call and to try to improve that for this program, he only did it because he had to. And even with what we did with the changes there, bringing down Alex Grinch and, Roy Manning, all those different guys, it just wasn't, that wasn't the move that was going to take OU to the next level. It was just to keep OU from, spiraling the way it was. So, and that speaks to, yes, the soft culture.
I'm going to say that it's evidently clear by how many people are saying that it's unequivocally yes. I mean, there's reports of players coming to practice high. Like, now, granted, in that situation, they already knew they were kind of toast. So they were whatever. Yeah. But it's still just the fact that they were even allowed to be there knowing that was happening. Right. So there was no accountability. Like, there was no accountability for missing class. Like, they didn't care. They had, like, now there's y'all, like, I don't know if you've seen, like, or heard about the structure that they have for what happens if you miss even one class. Like, miss class, the first one is a meeting. You're talking to a coach about it. The second one is a reminder, which the reminder is with running. The third one is a reminder again with more running. The fourth one is you're suspended for the semester.
Yikes.
And I could be incorrect on, like, the steps on that, but, like, they're like 4 missed classes, you're done. You're done. So there's accountability, and they're like so much more than that, though. There's buy-in because they want to, not because they feel like they have to. Mm-hmm. People the guys are seeing the vision that Coach Venables is portraying. And I don't know if you guys have seen this. The coaching staff is putting in more than just the coaches. Like, Turnip Seed the other day said they're expecting to become a dynasty. Mm-hmm. That is what they're putting out there, that we are going to become a dynasty. That's not our fandom saying, oh, no, we're going to be the next Bama or, whatever. No, they're just saying this is the expectation for the University of Oklahoma. That is what Oklahoma football is about building a dynasty. And that's what we're going to do. And if that doesn't get you fired up as a fan, I don't know what to tell you.
Let me jump in here real quick. So let me play devil's advocate for a second. So my only drawback to this conversation is the simple fact that, man, we won 6 Big 12 championships in a row. Okay. He won a lot here. It's just it's hard because for so long, Seth always said it. Hey, you catch me playing Madden NCAA, I'm the Black Lincoln Riley, the Black Mike Leach. You already know that. But I always would call Lincoln as one of the greatest offensive minds. I mean, you just look at some of the plays, some of the concepts, and then just some of the knife plays, different things. I mean, it's video game like some of the things that he's doing. If you guys watch college football with JD, he broke down Lincoln Riley's offense today about how he was going to run it at USC. And you're just looking and you say, man, he's putting a lot of pressure on safeties. I mean, it just looked like everything was safety driven with him as far as that RPO, right? Which, most RPO looks are like that, but he put a lot of pressure on them to, okay, what are you going to do? I got a guy running a drag. I got a guy running a medium route. Then I got a guy running a go route. So, I mean, which one are you going to do? I'm putting them right there by you. You're going to be responsible. You have to make the right decision or we're going to throw a bomb, right? So it's one of those things where it's kind of hard. Trust me, I'm still upset a little bit about how he did it. I'm over it because of what we got and where we're going. And I know that we're headed in the right direction. But it's one of those things where do you blame him for the toxic culture that he brought, or do you just say it was just a byproduct of some of the things that were left there? Right?
Well, I mean, I just think that's who he is. I mean, that's for some people that sounds like I'm just taking a personal shot at Lincoln Riley, saying, oh, he's just a soft guy or he's weak, whatever. But I think more it's just like that's his coaching philosophy, and that's just kind of how he runs a program or how he wants to run the program. And when I think of sorry, what was it? I lost my train of thought there, but we've seen that from Lincoln Riley over the 6 years or whatever that he was here, 5 or 6 years, including the years he was as coordinator, as far as just like his kind of approach to the game. And honestly, like one of the things just to kind of counter that, I remember what I was going to say. So one thing to kind of counter that, what you're saying, and I mean, I agree that, we should be thinking devil advocate way, but one thing that I've seen different from this administration, this regime under Venables over the last couple months is that he is not afraid to talk about the SEC and the move to the SEC and preparing for the SEC versus what we've, actions speak louder than words. It looks like Lincoln ran from the SEC, just the move. Like he wasn't on board. He's been on record talking about how he wasn't, completely involved or whatever in making those decisions. And that, obviously, I mean, if he's jumping ship like the way he did, in the middle of the night, kind of a deal, just that's he wasn't there for it. And I think he was complacent with winning those Big 12 championships. And yeah, it's nice to, I mean, obviously we talk to Texas fans all the time and trash talk them about how you got to win the Big 12 championship to do anything else. Like as far as they get to the playoffs or all that stuff, because they're always talking about how OU is whatever in the over in the playoffs. But it's like, it's still a great thing to win the Big 12 and to win the conference. But we know as OU fans, that is not the goal. That's never the end goal. And it just seemed like Lincoln is content with being the big fish in the small pond. And he might become that same thing at USC. They might end up winning 5-6 Pac-12 championships in a row, but they could also be over in the playoffs, just like it was. And I mean, if he tries to set up that program the same way he was running this one, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. To answer your question, like, I think it just kind of speaks to the softness of the Big 12. And I know we spent a lot of time defending it. And now I will say going on the road on the Big 12 is a lot harder than people give it credit for. Now, is that quite like going on the road in the SEC? No. But the way the league beats up on each other, like those teams are scrappy, and they're usually like, your K-States, your Iowa States are usually sound. They just don't have the athletes.
Mhm.
So because of how good we recruit, we had the athletes, and because of that, we kind of just generally won because we were just better suited for the schemes that we were running and whatnot. Like the games that we struggled, they schemed against our scheme, and there's times where it doesn't matter what athletes you have, like they just coach better, right? That's why we have David versus Goliath, and that's why we have March Madness and all this stuff. Sometimes it doesn't always matter about the athletes, but in many cases it does. And you can look at it too. In the first couple of years in Lincoln, they had Smitty built players for the first couple of years. So like the offensive line, the success of the offensive line is 100% attributed to how successful Lincoln Riley's offense is going to be.
That's true.
With that offensive line, that strength coach going to USC with them, I don't know how strong they're going to be, because you can look at the first session, like the testing date that they had, which under Schmitty, just to get a baseline of where they were. Read how much those offensive linemen were able to bench press. Not good. So I think that we just simply had the talent. I mean, obviously Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, CeeDee Lamb, Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews. Like when you have guys like that, they're obviously killing it. Most of them are killing it in the NFL. Like you just have better talent, and you're going to win football games. So that's, I think, why we were still able to win the Big 12 and get to the playoffs and things. But as things started to turn, we started to struggle with Tulane. We lost to Oklahoma State. We had to come back from 28 to whatever 3 at Texas.
Kansas game, so didn't score anything in the first half.
Yeah, like Kansas. Like so, there's just things like that. Like the Baylor game.
I'm so glad Dave Miranda kicked that field goal now. I was mad at the time, but I'm glad Dave Miranda kicked that field goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was mad because if he knew the results of the rest of the day, he didn't have to kick it. That's why I was mad. I was like, it literally was irrelevant. So unless he truly just had no idea. And I know, so I play disc golf, and like some of the golfers on tour and whatnot don't like to know the scores until they have to. And so it's unless it's kind of like that situation, just I don't want to know nothing. Okay.
Let me say this right here. I just want to say, Seth, you should know what I'm about to say about Baylor. Baylor goes to Norman and they go to Austin this year. Let me say that one more time. Baylor goes to Norman and they go to Austin this year. They don't get everybody at home like they did last year. So, yeah, just think about that. And I know we still got a Dave Aranda defense and all the rest of that. And Texas still has more questions than we do, even though they won't say it. But I will say that that's going to be a big difference, because it's going to be harder to drop a game against a TCU or somebody like that. And instead of coming home, you got to go right back on the road and get ready for an OU crowd or whatever they do down there in Texas. So, but yeah, no, I get you guys' points. I guess where I'm at with it is just, I don't know if toxic is the word, but I would just say that at some point it just became really lackadaisical around here. It's like what he got rid of in the coaching, or just the lack thereof from Mike Stoops towards the end of his tenure, at his second tenure at OU. It just seems like that's what Riley became, right? So, I mean, it's evident too, because you can go back and there's a lot of drives, not just plays. There's a lot of drives, especially last season, because last season, out of the 6 years or the 7 years that he was here, that had to be the worst play calling year that he had by far. Okay. But there's still years prior where you're saying, why are we passing every freaking down? Why are we running? We ran the ball. I say we run the ball. Okay, we need to establish that, but we haven't passed it yet. Or when we get in the red zone, we pass all 3 times, right? So I mean, it just was like I didn't really know what he was doing, but it just seemed like there was a lackadaisical approach, especially to this season. But it just seems like there was a lackadaisical approach to different areas of the team. So I don't know if toxic is the word. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Maybe it was toxic. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that was happening behind the scenes that we can talk about. I got stories. Everybody has stories because I know some of the stuff that I've heard. I was just like, wait a minute. We'll talk about that off camera, but um, it just seems to me like good riddance. You know, it's hard because man, we won so much, and you wanted to root for Lincoln. You wanted Lincoln to win that championship. I still drive by campus every day, and I say the crazy thing about it is I don't ever know if Lincoln will get a statue out there. I really don't.
I mean, even if he like somehow had to like shockingly just retire or something for whatever reason, it didn't spurn OU like he did. I mean, he still only won like 60 games or something. Like, I think you got to get in the 100 club before you start talking about statues with OU. I mean, all the greats here have had well over 100. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was nice for him to the consistency he showed here was good, but no,
that man's gonna show a lot of bravery. A lot of bravery to show his face in Oklahoma again. in the state of Oklahoma.
Yeah, like the panhandle.
I'm not making a threat. I'm not saying I'm gonna do anything personally. I just know how Oklahoma fans, Oklahomans in general, are petty.
Yeah, I mean, he pissed off everybody.
Just ask KD.
He added insult to injury, and this will be the last point about that. But he added so much insult to injury when he said, "I took players from the portal, not players from Oklahoma," or something to that effect. I was like, "That is just bush league, bro. You gotta stop. Gotta stop."
Yeah, there was a coach on the staff still here that was actively recruiting for USC. That
using Cowherd as well, man. Like the way Cowherd. Any Oklahoma fans out there on Twitter, please do not interact with Cowherd.
Right?
He is intentionally trying to incite you. We've looked it up. If he mentions Oklahoma, or even at some point it's USC too, now it's triple the interactions he gets on all of his other tweets. He's triggering us to get a response to make money. Stop it.
That's hilarious.
I remember I sent one tweet to JP from the JP and Trap show, and I was like, he almost got me. He almost got me.
Someone out there, like they at some point they figured it out. Like OU's Twitter presence, OU fans Twitter presence on Twitter, it's like second to none.
There's nothing like OU Twitter.
Just excited.
Last 2 days. The last 2 days on Twitter.
Yeah. You just need to be like, drop some keywords like say AP, something about like Lincoln.
Honestly, all you need to do at this point is say Lot 18, and that's going to be the trigger. Like that's a trigger.
Yeah.
Let's keep it moving. We got 2 hot takes. Expectations for Spencer Rattler at South Carolina this year.
I think it's going to be a good fit. I think with Shane Beamer. I mean, Shane Beamer already showed last year that would they go 7-6, win a bowl game? Like, I mean, he showed that he's definitely a coach that can take South Carolina, up a level. I don't know if he's ever going to take them to the point where they're contending in the East, but like truly contending. But they're going to be a team they're not going to be easy to beat really for anybody. And I think Spencer Rattler, the dude's got so much experience. And I think it was pretty telling that, I guess it was like a month ago or so, he said in the month that he had been there, he'd learned more about quarterback play than he did like his whole time at OU or something to that effect. And I mean, I don't know if that was just him trying to dig at Lincoln, or if that was true. But even if that was like 75% true, that's like really telling. So I mean, I think it's going to be a good fit. They I mean, without looking at their schedule, they could probably win 8 games, probably maybe 9 with a bowl game or something. Like I think South Carolina is going to be a good team this year.
Man, I would say it's really I would say it's low risk, high reward, right? Because he went to South Carolina. Everybody's gonna expect the level of talent around him to elevate if he plays like the Spencer Rattler that we all know that he can be. Okay. I always say if you want to see what Spencer Rattler really looked like, go back to the K-State game. That was Spencer Rattler. Outside of that, I really don't know. It was kind of a question mark, all right, on all fronts, from coaching to some of his decision making as well. I feel like it was really kind of a whole 60-40. I say more Lincoln than him, but at the same time, that's where we're at. But I would say, like I said, it's a low risk, high reward, simply because he's going to a team where nobody's expecting you to win the SEC. Nobody's expecting you to do anything, but at the same time, people are expecting this team to build off the momentum that they had last year. Because early in different parts of the season, you were like, "Hey, South Carolina is actually pretty darn good." Although that was a terrible Florida team last year, they did beat the heck out of Florida. But I mean, Dan Mullen would probably say that wasn't a real Florida team. But anyways, Andrew, what do you think about that? What's your expectations about for Spencer Rattler at USC?
Okay, so Spencer, it's the easiest thing is there's obviously the arm talent is there. Like the dude can spin the ball. The challenge that I'm going to see they're going to have is we discovered that Spencer's not super mobile. And their offensive line is so bad. So that's my fear about him going there in particular. However, they still won a bunch of games. They won like 8 games last year, 7 games.
Yeah, 7.
And they had a grad assistant playing quarterback. So, I mean, and the East is extremely weak.
Yeah,
so they've got a real chance to win 9, maybe even 10 games with Spencer Rattler at quarterback. Now, is that their expectation? No, I think like 9, 10 is really lofty. I think 9 should be their goal. I think 8 should be the expectation.
Yeah.
And 8 wins in the SEC is not easy. So I look for Shane Beamer to take another step forward as a second-year head coach. They recruited very well this year. I expect that to continue. So, man, like I'm really excited to see what they're going to do. I'm going to do my best. I might actually miss a home game this year. I might go watch South Carolina, Arkansas.
Are they playing in Arkansas?
They're playing at Arkansas.
That'd be a good game.
That's the week that we play. That's the second game of the year. We play kind of. It's gonna be the pay-per-view game for us.
Yeah.
So, like, I might go to that game, and that might be real fun.
So yeah, no, I think we're all in agreement. I think he's gonna have a hell of a year. I think 9 to 10 wins is really ambitious, but I think 8 wins is doable. And I think if they could go 8-4 on the year and win a bowl game, that's a hell of a year for South Carolina, and that's just more momentum. And I think that gets him back into the conversation of, okay, some people may throw shots at him and throw shade at him for the year he had at OU last year, but you're still going to say the arm talent is there, and he may have the best arm talent, so that should still get him. I'm still going to say, fingers crossed, first round. So,
I'd have to look at I would just have to look at the draft class. I don't know who all is going to be in that class, but I mean, if it's a weak class, maybe. But
yeah,
he'll definitely be drafted, obviously. But
he's going to be drafted. I'm just saying that's my opinion, but we'll see.
Wait, who did you say?
I said Spencer Rattler.
He's going to be drafted number 1.
No, I'm talking about just a first round draft.
Oh, first rounder. Oh yeah, I think first round for sure.
I think he could be a first round if they go 8-4 or better. It's going to be on his back. He's going to put up a lot of numbers.
Honestly, I heard some chatter. If he'd gone this year, he might have been a first rounder this year.
Ooh.
And just purely because you can't teach that arm talent, and so like there's enough quarterback gurus out there that are full of themselves enough that like I can do what I need to do with him just because he can throw the ball.
Yeah. And plus, he wouldn't get lackadaisical coaching in the NFL. But anyway,
exactly.
Guys,
speaking of quarterback,
guys, let's talk a little bit of the team down further south, right? Down there in the Austin boys. So word is on the street is that Mullet Boy and Hudson Card are taking they're splitting reps on the first day. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. That's not a good sign. Hudson Card should have transferred with old boy. That is bad. That is bad. All like Andrew, you probably haven't heard me. You probably haven't heard me say this yet, but I have a little. This is a saying. I'm a coin the phrase. Okay. Obviously, I call him Mullet Boy, right? So they talk about all gas, no brakes down there, right? Well, when it comes to Mullet Boy, I say all hype, no tape. Because all the tape I hear about is him in his sophomore year, junior year at South Lake. I haven't seen anything in college. So, I mean, look, they're saying, well, they graded him better than Spencer Rattler, so he should be good. I'm like, okay, that's great. But you guys are like his second choice. Let's not act like he did not try to go to Texas A&M. Well, he didn't go there. He went to Texas. Okay, that's fine. But the fact that he's already splitting reps with Hudson Card, that just tells me, Hudson may be transferring after the spring. That's just me. That's just me.
I mean, it's like, honestly, just trying to put myself in Sark's position, it almost seems like he had to make this kind of a move, at least in the spring. Now, if we're in the fall and they're splitting reps evenly, especially after the first week of fall practice, that's going to be probably somewhat alarming. But, I mean, still, though, yeah, it's like you think about what, I don't know, Texas, we can only surmise, promised Quinn by, as soon as he finally decided on joining the Longhorns. Like, it's just like you get a guy like that. I mean, he's supposed to be the guy just, right off the bat. But, I mean, it's to keep it a competition because he has Card there in this day and age where guys will literally transfer, at the drop of a hat. I understand wanting to split and wanting to try to preserve your depth for at least for as long as you can. Hopefully that it doesn't come back to bite him and, Card leaves like in July or something. But it's just, it also just makes you wonder though, like if we go through the whole spring of them splitting reps and then after that, and if we look on their spring game or whatever, and it just looks like it's still even, that's just really alarming just because then if Quinn really just isn't that guy, like, are we going to see another 2021 season out of Texas again? And
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, but I think partially just because, and this is whole, like, diving this deep into college football is still somewhat new to me. So maybe I'm ignorant in this, but in thinking about spring game, like, they're probably both going to get reps pretty evenly there for a spring game.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about reps.
Right. No, but when I'm talking about them splitting reps now, it's probably in preparation for their spring game. So, like, after the spring game would be when I would be more concerned about them splitting reps.
Right. But I'm talking about, like, so the reps thing for me right now.
Chris, when he was saying that they were splitting reps, like, right away, like, and that's where my head's at. Like, well, they're probably preparing for the spring game. Like, OU, they're doing ones and twos in the reps.
Right.
So, like, the number ones and number twos are kind of getting reps together. So, like, they could be doing something like that. So I don't think it's as concerning, at least right away. Now, if they're splitting reps in the summertime, post spring, now that's a time to get concerned about, like, okay, like, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly. And well, let me say, and if we see, so let's say they get 50% or they get the same amount of reps in the spring game, And if they look the same, or at least like production is very similar, or if Card, it looks like he's outplaying Quinn, that's going to be, I feel like, kind of an alarming sign, because Quinn is supposed to be the guy, supposed to be this transcendent talent, this, one of a kind recruit. And if he's at that point, after getting half the reps, which he wasn't getting at Ohio State, if he's getting, get at least, that amount of reps in practice, and if he's still not showing that he's like leaps and bounds, or even just one step ahead of Card, like what are we going to expect from?
And he did not look very big in those pictures. And obviously, I know Texas fans have said, like, well, what about Kyler Murray? He was small. Like, yeah, is Quinn Ewers going to run around like Kyler Murray?
Yeah, he's going to out 67 yards.
I mean,
so
I was just going to say, no, like, look, I get what you're saying, Andrew. It's just a simple fact that we know that Sark gave Hudson Card every freaking opportunity during that season to win that job and to stay the quarterback. Get what I'm saying? So, but we also know that it honestly, my gosh, why am I forgetting his name? Seth, what was the other quarterback's name that transferred?
Casey Thompson.
So with Casey Thompson, I'll go back and I'll say it, and I'll say it again. It was not Casey Thompson's fault for your season last year. Guy was playing injured, but the guy was playing good football. I mean, let's just be honest. Hell, in the Red River Shootout game, I mean, hell, we saw the numbers that he put up. He played his tail off last year. But at the same time,
got hurt in too.
Yeah, that's the game he got hurt in too. But the everybody wanted Hudson Card to start. Everybody was in love with Hudson Card until the Arkansas game. And then things just kind of, flickered. Then we see they're still doing the whole 2 quarterback thing during the Kansas game. Hudson Card's throwing picks. Casey Thompson's throwing picks. He's just going 3 and out every time against Kansas. But, I mean, it's one of those things where I say, I see exactly what you're saying. And I think you're right. I'll side with you, Andrew. However, I will say that it still causes me concern, because it's like, is this deja vu? I feel like I've seen this before, because they did this last spring all the way into the season. So, I mean, it's like Sark doesn't really know who the guy is supposed to be. And Sark is going to give Hudson Card, again, every chance he can to win that job, because we all know it sitting on this panel right now. Hype alone is going to get Mullet Boy the starting job.
And you're not wrong. I guess I don't like to spend that much time thinking about rivals. So, I mean, like,
well, this is the Horns Down podcast.
It's the Horns.
I mean, that's fair. No, the Horns down all the time. But like, I guess I'm not gonna. I haven't dove too deep into kind of their whole thing as of yet. Like, I'm kind of like just so excited about ours. Man, it's just, I'm just too excited. And honestly, like, Texas, I think Texas has a culture problem anyways. So on the field stuff, until they get their culture stuff fixed, I really don't expect that much out of them. They're very athletic and very talented. That's going to win them some football games. But until they fix the behind the scenes stuff, I just couldn't care less about them, really.
Andrew, quick question. Hot take right now. Quick question. Yes, either or. Who's more toxic, Lincoln Riley or the Texas culture?
Texas Longhorns.
That's all
I mean, if Nick Saban is turning down your job because of how toxic it is, there's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Herbstreit was said it live on air that they're a cesspool like that, and that was like years ago. And I mean, they haven't changed at all since he said that. Was like 3 or 4 years ago that he said that. They haven't made any improvements. If anything, I still stand by it. I said it like as soon as they hired Sarkisian, I said they're gonna regret like picking him over Tom Herman. I think they should have gave Tom Herman another year. I don't think Tom Herman would have ever taken them to like back to where they 2009 level Texas, but this was a noticeable downgrade for me, and
I agree. Like I don't think Sark was the guy to begin with, nor did I think Herman was either. I mean, and they're just assuming that you're coming from the Nick Saban tree, that you're going to be Nick Saban.
There's like 1,000 coaches under his career at this point. Like,
yeah, I mean,
analysts.
and here's the thing. Until and they ran off Mac Brown because they got tired of him saying no to them being so involved, and them being the regents and the donors and all that. Like, if you think the Dallas Cowboys have a problem with Jerry Jones, try 9 of them, because that's what Texas Longhorns has.
That's
Yeah.
true. And they'll deny it to this day and say, we don't do that. We don't do it. I'm like,
and if you don't think those fan bases are the one and the same, you're crazy. Because Texas fans, we're back. Super Bowl, it's our year. It's the same saying, right? So it's just one of those things. Until they fix that, until they're able to hire a coach that is going to shut his door to anybody who's trying to donate money and say, I will donate money if you do this, if you whatever. They have to say, I don't care about your money. I don't want your money. They're Texas. They're going to get donations. They're going to make money regardless. And honestly, I bet you there's some really heavy donors out there that would be willing to step up for a coach that says no to everyone else. So in our own situation, Lincoln Riley leaves, Baron Venables shows up, checks start dropping.
Yeah.
Guys,
they said new donors are showing up at multiples every day after that happened. Big time donors.
It re-energized our program, to be honest with you.
Entire fan base, the donors, everything.
Yes.
Like it's a blaze with energy.
Guys,
so
I was gonna say let's shift a little bit. Let's talk about the ladies. You guys are obviously big on the softball scene, so I'll let you guys have the floor. What's up with softball right now?
Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Man, they're good. We're running out of superlatives to say about them. Like this, I'm just gonna say it. This is the greatest softball team of all time, and I don't think it's even relatively close. Because if you shut down our offense, and I shut down by keep them to 3 or 4, good luck scoring 4 or 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Literally our only deficiency would be defense. And we have elite defenders everywhere. Some of those have made uncharacteristic mistakes recently.
Right.
But they're probably going to clean that up. They're exhausted. They've been traveling all over the place. Yeah. Hawaii, California, twice, Texas,
Kentucky.
They're going Kentucky. They're going everywhere. These ladies are exhausted, and they're still playing at this high of a level. Yeah. Imagine when they get to be home for a little while, kind of get their legs back under them. Now, and also too, they were playing very tight as a team while Jocelyn was chasing the record.
Mm-hmm.
The second that was over, you could just see the team take a collective sigh and go, we're back. And for example, after she hit it, I think it was the next game, Sophia Nugent, freshman catcher, she's our 3rd string catcher. She was in the game and hits the farthest softball I've ever seen. It was at the Hawaii field, there's a net behind center field. It hit 30 feet high into the net. That's our 3rd string catcher. Who's a true freshman.
Yeah. The backup catcher is probably the most on fire hitter in America right now.
Oh my God. Lindsey Elam, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
5 home runs in a row, tying an NCAA record for home runs in a row. It's absolutely insanity. Jana Johns was hot early. Taylor Snow, Alyssa Brito was caught fire.
Grace Lyons had an 18-game hitting streak.
Yeah, Grace Lyons had that 18-game hitting streak come to a close recently, but is back at it again.
Yeah.
And the circle, goodness gracious me. Hope Troutwine has a 0.3 ERA, and Jordy Ball has a 0.66 ERA.
And I know she's disappointed about that, actually.
I'm sure she is.
she's like, damn.
And so,
she had in high school.
and the other thing too is like, if you think about it, this is crazy to think about. We have the number one recruit in the country again next year is the left-handed pitcher. Our pitching is going to be better next season.
That's what's scary because I was like, I really don't know if you can get any better than last year when they won the championship. And I know it wasn't the greatest last year, but I mean, this year is just on a different level.
Yeah, I mean, offensively, like some of the total numbers, like total runs, I don't know if this team will get to that point, but just like per game numbers, this team is on pace with last year's, if not ahead in a lot of aspects. And yeah, I mean, it's just, I think this is like one of the only years where it just seems unfair that the championship is like a best 2 out of 3, because I don't see a team I don't see how it's possible for a team to beat this OU team 2 times. I can see a team like a Florida State or whoever, UCLA, if they get hot, they stay hot and they get to the series and win a game against OU. I mean, yeah, it's going to be a monumental task just to beat OU, but still, just to win one, I can see that. I'm not that much of a blind homer to think like, oh, you're just going to run the table all the way. But to win 2 games in a series, that just seems like an impossible task at this point. Like, just everything that can go wrong has to go wrong for OU in 2 different games. Like, and this team is just too elite in too many areas. The entire lineup is capable of going yard or just keeping at bats alive. Just creating all kinds of havoc. We just talked about the circle, how Hope and Jordy and even Nicole May, like she's probably at this point probably third as far as if you're going to rank them as far as the just kind of.
I don't think she's been 100% healthy either. I think that's a big reason why she's not been pitching as often. Off-season injury, I think. So I mean, she's pitched, so she's there, but I think they're kind of trying to keep her as fresh as possible. So.
Yeah. And so it's like, and even then, like if you look at if you go to NCAA.com right now and look at the softball stats, she's in the top, 30 or so in a lot of pitching categories. So it's like she's still one of the best, statistical pitchers out there right now. And that's crazy to think that OU probably definitely has 2 pitchers that are as good, if not, at another level, especially Jordy. I mean, I don't know if OU's ever had a freshman pitcher at this level. I can't remember what Kehlani looked like as a freshman. I know obviously she's definitely has the best pitching career that any OU pitcher's ever had, just winning 2 Player of the Years and stuff. But just coming in with all the hype that Jordy came in with, and all the number 1 high school recruit, and she's just looked every bit of it and more. I mean, and she's been tested several times. It's not like she's doing this against the Mercers and Loyolas or something. In her second game ever, it was against UCLA, and then we saw her this last Tuesday in 2 different situations against Kentucky where she could have kind of really faltered. Bases loaded with no outs, and just 2 on with no outs, but she battles she you can just tell that if this is if she's here for 4 years, and if this ends up being her worst year, I don't even know what the next 3 years are gonna look like then, because if this is her freshman year and she improves every year after this, we expect her to most student athletes do, It's
I'm excited to see her hit some soon.
Oh, every time I see her in a lineup or she gets switched in there, I'm waiting for it. I'm I want to see her.
I saw the other day that somebody said that she's getting work in the outfield during pregame every game. So
yeah, she was in the outfield in one of those games, I think in Hawaii or something. She was in left field.
Yeah, so I mean, and that was a late thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was she was. Just, yeah, but I mean, yeah,
I won't be shocked to see her. I don't think she'll get in much this season in the outfield, but I would say next season when she's not pitching, look for her to be hitting almost an everyday player. Honestly,
yeah.
Do y'all? So I guess the question is, are they going to win a national championship this year again, or?
if I was a betting man and I was betting on it, I would definitely bet on OU to win it. I mean, I'm still not to the point. I won't be at this point until it happens, if it happens. And I won't, to say that OU's going to go undefeated, because I know there are some really good teams out there, some really good coaches. And we saw, we've seen this team too get in some pretty tight battle. Like obviously the Tennessee game, that was one swing away from being over. This team is 25-1. And then that Utah game was just, it was early, body clocks weren't right. They end up winning that one 2-0. But like that was a game that was just like kind of weird. So
both of those games though were during the home run chase. And so
true.
That's kind of where I'm at with that. And then two, I don't think we're going to lose a game the rest of the regular season. The question mark is the postseason.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you there.
The two teams that might present us a little challenge in the regular season is Texas and Oklahoma State. Texas started off ranked in the top 10, lost like 6 straight, dropped out, but they've won I think 9 straight now.
Yeah, they're on
a and so we're playing at Texas. Texas has never beaten Oklahoma in softball. Not once.
Wow.
So the fact that they're going to be very highly motivated to be the first to beat Oklahoma this season and then to beat us for the first time. And it's at their place. So I'm not discounting that. And it's Oklahoma, Texas. So I'm not discounting that series at all. But I doubt it. Oklahoma State, they're really talented. They're ranked. But we also get them at home. So I just, again, I doubt. I don't see us run ruling 3 games of those teams, but I do see us winning them all. And so postseason, it honestly, we probably should not lose a game until the Super Regionals or the World Series. And at that point, even then, a lot of the top teams, like Florida State's not look great most of the season. Like they've shown some real weaknesses. UCLA has shown some real weaknesses. Yeah. Bama is really struggling right now.
Oh gosh, like yeah.
Montana Fouts does not look right.
No.
I think there was 3 starts in a row. She didn't make it out of the 3rd inning.
Wow.
So and their offense is not very good. So they're like everyone who's voting them like towards the top is saying, well, it's because of Montana Fouts. Well, if she's not right, what the heck's Bama going to do? So there's a lot has to go so wrong for them to even lose a game.
Yeah.
That's the terrifying part. Yeah. So am I going to predict they're going to go undefeated? No. Will it surprise me at all? Absolutely not.
Right. That's exactly where I'm at. And just to add onto that, and we can wrap this topic up for that, but I would say regular season, I do expect OU to run the table, but outside of the Texas and OSU series I agree with you being those are the 2 teams that are most capable that are on the schedule right now. I would add, just to throw out another one that it just could happen if it was just that day. Wichita State, it's a midweek game. Wichita State, last year they were pretty formidable. They shouldn't have been.
Help me understand something. How many more midweek games do we have? Are we kind of just down to weekend series for the most part?
There's a few I know because there's like Wichita State, North Texas, Tulsa. That might be it. There's like a few left.
So my point with that is the fact that we're going to be traveling far less. We're going to have far less games in a row. They're going to have a chance to breathe. They've not had that up to this point right now. Like that's when this starts is this weekend. And so, they may have like a Tuesday game, next week or whatever. But like they're in general, they have not breathed other than the sigh of relief about Jossie hitting the home run, like at all. They haven't had a chance to rest their legs, anything like that. So like once they get a chance to start doing that, like practicing at home, going to class, getting back into routines, I just don't know who's going to do it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised to see OU beat Wichita State 24-0. Like, it's like I'm not saying that Wichita State's good. That's going to be a close game, but just I'm like daily keeping up with the stats. And Wichita State, they have some of the better bats out there. They had them last year as well. And then as far as postseason teams that I would be maybe a little more wary of if OU has to end up playing them. A team like South Florida with Georgina Corrick at circle, she's probably the best pitcher in the nation right now. She could definitely have something for these bats, and, just depending on the day. Or OU could light her up, and that wouldn't be as surprising. And then, having if OU ends up having to play a series against Virginia Tech, they've got some arms in the circle that could.
Yeah, I saw they had back-to-back no hitters, but I didn't know who they played, so I wasn't sure how impressive it was.
Yeah, I mean, and Virginia Tech was right on the cusp last year of getting to the World Series. They were one win away against UCLA, which obviously UCLA was a really good team last year with Rachel Garcia. So, I mean, there are definitely teams out there, and I think the only way that a team is going to beat OU is if they have an elite pitcher, and that pitcher is elite on that day. And even then, it's like, well, then at that point, you're just trying to hope OU doesn't score more than like 4 runs, because even elite pitchers are probably still going to give up a bomb or two, and then the other kinds of runs that OU gets just throughout.
Well, it's like if they're not hitting home runs every other at bat like they seem to have in the last couple of games, it's going to take. They're going to switch to playing small ball. Like they're such they're good hitters,
right?
Like I'll say this. Jocelyn Allo has the best swing I have ever seen in person in baseball or softball, and I played 4 years of college baseball. Like, it's so pure, it's so quick and short and compact, and like her legs are so strong that like that's why she's able to muscle stuff. It's not even that her arms are so strong. She just puts herself so short and compact that it just explodes. And it doesn't matter where the pitch is. Like the pitch she had hit out, the second one first one she hit out, the second one against Kentucky.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that.
Like, he was fooled and yanked it out the yard against the scoreboard, and almost
wasn't even like a full swing. It's like
right,
just kind of like bundled it off the end of that thing. It was just like
at Oklahoma City this last weekend, they had the shorter fence. Every home run she hit short hopped the long wall. Okay. Yeah.
Guys, let's go ahead and shift over to the last topic that we have. Let's give a shout out to the girls and men's basketball teams that is this year at OU. I really do feel like we found our coaches. Let's hit the women's side first. Women's side ended on a really, really, really sour note, but at the same time, definitely excited with what I saw. She came in and she re-energized that program. Okay. Shout out to Sherry Cole, but at the same time, it just felt like things got stale. And it's just crazy to see that those players right there were able to do what they did this year. And I mean, don't hold your head down.
12 last year.
Yeah.
With basically the same roster.
Yeah. Don't hold your head. Yeah, don't hold your head down. You ladies, you played a hell of a year. And
I mean, you ran into a buzzsaw. I was actually at the Notre Dame game. Like, you ran into a buzzsaw of length and shooting.
Yeah.
Like they had so much. They had, I think, 4 girls at or over 6 foot.
Yeah.
And so, like, if we missed a shot, we did not get the rebound.
Yeah.
And I think they started 12 for 12. And like that one girl had 17 points in the first quarter. She was literally throwing stuff up and it was banking in.
I saw that. I saw Notre Dame play earlier in the season, and I said, you know what? And then when I saw that game, I was like, it's like there's 2 different teams that I'm watching right. As one team that I watched earlier, there's a new team that I'm watching now because they'll never play like this again. Because they have Notre Dame has had talent. They've had a lot of talent, and the coach there is really good. I know the one that retired. She had like a coach in waiting or whatever the case may be. But Notre Dame has always been in and out of the Final Four. We know that, but they haven't been great over the past few years. But they recruit really well, and they still do. But it's just a simple fact that I don't know. I was kind of a little bit shocked at the score, but at the same time, like I said, hats off to you guys.
Well, we always talk about March Madness being matchups.
Yeah,
I think we were just a victim of a matchup problem that we couldn't overcome.
Yeah,
and they're also too. Their perimeter defense was excellent. They defended the 3-point line very, very well. I mean, at one point, T-Rob was the only one on the floor with points, and so they were so long. Like in the first game of the first round, we didn't really shoot that much from the outside, I thought, but they did a lot of over the top kind of cuts into the lane. The problem is they tried it again, but they were so tall that every pass was stolen, or we threw it out of bounds trying to get it over them. So I think we just fell victim to a matchup problem that just we didn't have the physical players to compete with, and then they shot the lights out of the gym. Like there's not much you can do about it sometimes, but that doesn't discount the season that they had. Like they're phenomenal. Like for a first-time head coach to come from a mid-major to a non-blue blood basketball program and take them to ranked and hosting a regional for the NCAA tournament is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. Like she is our coach of the future. She's young. She's already started to recruit really well. There is excitement like that. The first round, that crowd was just as loud as the Florida game for the men's, and that's the loudest I heard the men's game, and there was fewer people there. Like it got loud in there. So there's absolutely excitement for these programs.
I'll be going to I'll be going to the women's games next year for sure. I definitely want to support. I'm really there. Seth, I'll let you say what do you have to say about the men's team? Is Porter Moser our coach?
Yeah, he definitely is. And I mean, it's almost we look at it if we can look back now, or now we can reflect on the season that they had. It's kind of amazing that they did what they did, especially a lot of the wins that they did have against those top 15 teams early in the season, and then they obviously took down Baylor in the Big 12 tournament. Just with that, just like a ragtag team, and it's like he really made lemonade out of whatever he was given, and then some. But yeah, it hurts. It would have been nice to see what this team could have looked like, if Harkless hadn't gone down. But it is what it is. But yeah, I think he's definitely this is going to be a good first step, a good first season that we look back on it, because I think he's got a lot more success coming for him in the future.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the recruiting. I'm excited to see his players. I mean, when you come in here, you don't have 2 or 3 players from that roster left over. I mean, it's kind of hard. He did an overhaul for this team. The fact that they were that close to getting to 20 wins this year, still, it's crazy. You still feel like they left a lot out there on the court, but at the same time, I mean, I love the direction that we're going. Okay. And I love the enthusiasm. I love the energy. I love watching him coach. I love seeing his team. And I'm like I said, I'll definitely be going to more men's games next year as well. So I plan on seeing this team win a lot of games next year. I plan on seeing them win 20 plus games next year and be highly competitive. Lon Kruger was able to not only sustain success, but create success here. And I feel like it's the same thing that Porter Moser is going to be able to do as well. So he's got all the time in the world that he needs, and I believe him. Andrew, you got anything to add to that?
Man, don't put Jenny Browncheck, Brent Venables, and Porter Moser in the same room. It might explode.
Oh
yeah. So yeah, no, I'm really excited about what he's got going on. I think he had 3, maybe 4 players left over from last year's roster. So to do what he did is absolutely incredible. I mean, barely missing the tournament, which we probably should have been in the first place.
Should have been in the tournament, yeah.
But and then there's so many games that you can say we were that close to winning, and we lost on the last second shot, or didn't make the shot to win the game. We were in games we had no business being in.
Yeah.
So there's just there's so much reason for positivity, and they've got some really good recruits coming in. Obviously, it's going to take them a couple of years to kind of really get rolling, but there's no reason to not be excited about where this program is headed. Yeah. Men's and women's, there's already talking now about new arenas, and that's going to be great. So quick shout out to our women's gymnastics team winning the Big 12 title, ranked number 1. But there's just so many good reasons to be excited about being an Oklahoma Sooner right now.
Amen.
No, exactly. Well, fellas, with that being said, that wraps up everything unless you guys got anything else. Andrew, we'll let you go first and just tell people where they can find you at. We know you're in the spaces, but just give us a little scoop.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me on. So if you guys didn't know, the Sooner Soup guy on Twitter. A lot of spaces in there all the time. Really enjoy it. To me, if you're not on Twitter and in spaces, you should be, because to me it's interactive sports talk radio.
Yeah.
So you don't have to sit there and listen to people yell. You can interrupt the conversation. You can change it. You can ask questions, and that's what I love about it. And then also too, I am now helping produce the Anything OU podcast. So if you want to find out more about other sports at Oklahoma, we've had other than just football, we talk a lot about everything, literally anything OU. So we've had a guy from track there. We've had Chris Plank on talking about softball. So like we just had Tanner Mordecai on this last episode. So we love to talk about anything OU there. So catch us there. But at Sooner Soup Guy on Twitter.
All right, Seth, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm on Twitter as well. You can find me at Seth Oliveris. I'm right now. 99% of my tweets are about softball. But, as we get closer to football season, I'm definitely going to be talking about that as well. And obviously, with the spring game coming up, I definitely want to be talking about some football over the next month. But yeah, like it's a fun time to be a Sooner, and it's always a good time to be a Sooner. But it's a really fun time right now. There's a lot of positivity flowing around here.
Well, it's your neighborhood troll right here, Chris with a K. You guys can find me on Twitter. I'm there, guys. For real, follow me. I got some funny stuff for you guys. All right. But yeah, no, I just want to say shout out to Andrew for coming on to the show. Man, really appreciate you. I told you, I said, hey, I wanted you on the show because you.
I really appreciate it, man. Like this is a blast. So this is the first podcast I've been on, other than the Sooner Summary with the OU podcast. So really excited.
Sometimes I just jump on just to see what Andrew is saying, just to see if he's quiet and telling somebody, look, we're not talking about Lincoln in here. We're not doing we're not doing any of that. Or I just listen to him because I mean he's always knowledgeable. I mean we share tidbits from time to time or whatnot about what's going on. And I mean, especially in the thick of things, this was one of my guys I was going to. So I was like, look, if Parker and none of them said it, or Travis didn't say anything, or JP, go ahead and see what Andrew has to say. Andrew
I got a couple little plugs, which is crazy because like when I first got on Twitter, like for OU Twitter specifically, I had nothing. So like all of this has been built through Spaces. Yeah. My entire profile at this point is built from Spaces. It's awesome, man. Like I love Spaces. And I would encourage you, again, get on there, try it out. It's a blast. We have a great time. But yeah, I love Spaces, and it's great at a great community. My entire game day experience last year happened because of Spaces. The tailgate people I met there, how I got to the game. So it's been absolutely incredible. But man, it's a lot of fun.
I'm gonna say this, and we're gonna end it here. Seth, Andrew, and I'm missing some other people's names, but we got a crew in here. Get your material ready, because in October, the OU Texas Twitter space I'm going to start. It's going to be hell on earth. Now, Andrew, I know you don't like to. You a tattoo, you a tattoo baker. Y'all do not like to interact with Texas fans like that.
Oh no, I do. I do. What I don't like is when I'll interact with reasonable Texas fans. Most Texas fans are not reasonable. Yeah. So, shout out to my boy Chris. Shout out to my boy Kieran. Those boys are some good Texas fans to interact with. So I do enjoy talking ball with them as long as we can have a logical conversation about it. There's not a whole lot of it out there.
I'm telling you now, this space is going to be called OU Texas take your shot.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Hey, I'm here for
If y'all were a part
rivalry
of the
week.
first one,
Rivalry week. I'm here for it.
if
Outside
you
of
were
that, we're gonna have a logical conversation.
hey, if you were a part of that the first time, then you definitely know what happened because it got tense in there. It got tense in there. All right. So all I gotta say is that hey, the winter is coming. All right. And if you catch my drift and you know what that means, just know hell on earth will be here because you know how I'm not gonna say ignorant, but you know how those Texas fans are. Okay, you know how they like to be. Poverty program, $1 billion in debt. I'm like, I have never seen $1 billion. What are you talking about? But
Well, and the thing is that they love to say things like that, but they don't realize that again, this is where the logic comes into play. Most programs work at a deficit, so everybody's in debt, and OU doesn't put their business out there. So if you don't know where our money comes from, they want you to not know where their money comes from. So man, like some numbers like I've had thrown out there, like for example, like the Overton brothers. I saw somebody ask that in the chat, just really quick to address that. If they make it through the A&M visit without a commitment, there's a really heavy chance they're going to be Oklahoma Sooners. And I know the number that was offered them to come here through an NIL deal, and it is absolutely huge. So for us to get outbid, somebody's gonna have to dig really deep, and especially like A&M, they're paying out so many people already. I don't know if the pockets are that deep, my man.
Boys giving out NBA contracts, right?
Man.
But anyways, guys, that is the Horns Down podcast. Everybody throw it up real quick. Horns down, we out.